Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimesh and I'm your host. I always love starting every episode by saying thank you. I feel so blessed for this podcast, the impact it has, the people it reaches. I started it as a passion project, really to guide people to simplify spirituality and to guide people on their spiritual journey. And I started with maybe one episode every couple of months, and now we do 2 a week. And I love it. I love it. It's just it's our way of giving back. It's our way of holding space. It's our way of holding and guiding you in our own unique way. So if you're a regular listener, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're new, welcome. Let us know if you have any feedback. If this episode resonates, please do like, comment, share. It really does help us to get the episode to and the podcast overall to more people. I am an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. And what I get to do is I get to guide people on their spiritual journey. I hold your space while you're going through a shift. I do that through spiritual mentorship, which is a program that we channel through the Akashic records, which really guides you to you, working through your 4 bodies: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And I love it. It's just that I never tell anybody what to do. I guide you to you through the Akashic records too. So many ways of connecting with us, and monthly free full moon webinar, etc., etc. So with this podcast, I get to interview some amazing guests. I'm excited to have Rickie with us today, and also Stacey, the usual co-host. Normally there's I interview guests with just me, but Stacey has a special connection with Rickie, so I thought it'd be great to have Stacey with us today. So I'm going to introduce Stacey first, introducing the amazing, the stunning, the healer extraordinaire and published author, Stacey Brown. Stacey, you know I got to do it, right? Over to you.
It never gets old, buddy. It never gets old. So, friends, it's so good to be here with you for another episode. My name is Stacey. I'm an intuitive. I do readings for people from around the world. I am also an Akashic record reader and a spiritual coach and mentor. And I love this space because we get to make an impact with our voices on our listening audience. And it just feels like such a blessing to be a part of something that's been going on for so long. And I'm grateful to you, our listening audience, for supporting us through this process and making it possible for us to express ourselves and to make an impact. So thank you for that. Our guest today is really special to me. Rickie and I met several years ago, and I did my Reiki training with her. And she's made a deep impact on my life. She's changed the way that I see energy. She's changed the way that I show up with my clients, with my friends, with my family, and the way that I do things. And I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with her today and hoping that she can bring some of her wisdom to this space. So without further ado, I would love to welcome Rickie Freedman to the space. Welcome, Rickie.
Thank you. Thank you. That's beautiful. And I've experienced your work, so it's very much a mutual admiration society. I'm so happy and excited to be here. As always, knowing things are perfectly divinely timed and synchronistic. This is really good timing for me to get my voice out further into the world. So I appreciate that, and I hope to be able to talk more about that as we go. So do you want me to share a little bit of my story?
Please,
Yes.
please
Okay.
do. Yeah.
All right. So honestly, my story's been my whole life, and I'm realizing that more and more and more. First of all, I'm a girl named Rickie, and at least in the United States, that's mostly a boy's name. And, every year in school, they put me in the boys' gym and boys' choir and on, male from the Army and Navy. I really thought I was going to change my name, but Rickie and Reiki are pretty darn close. It was absolutely a wake-up call to my purpose. And now I'm very grateful to my parents for unconsciously listening to that guidance. I started my professional journey as a physical therapist, which is another form of hands-on healing. And even though I'm a full-time Reiki master teacher now, my physical therapy background still serves me very well, both in the knowledge and wisdom of the body. But also I interact with a lot of professionals, healthcare professionals, attorneys, on. And I'm able to bring this to people with a very grounded approach that everyone can relate to. And that's part of the way that I share my work and I teach my students, and allowing my Reiki voice to come out into the world. So in 1994-ish, friends of mine took a Reiki class. I lived in a small rural conservative college town at that point, and they asked me to babysit for their son. I was really just doing them a favor. I'd never heard the word Reiki then. There was no one in that area that was sharing or teaching Reiki. This was a woman that came down from New York and happened to teach it in a physical therapy office. So they took the class and they came home and practiced on me. I was going through a very emotional, personal time, and I had a deeply profound response to the Reiki. While they were sharing it with me, it almost felt like what I would call an anxiety response. My whole body was literally shaking, although I don't have anxiety. But I know that I had been holding in a lot from my own personal background and from my relationships, and it just needed to start to come. So I actually had a big detox after my first Reiki session. I actually ran a fever and had the runs for a few days, but I knew that I wasn't sick. It was just my body starting to let go. So I took my first Reiki 1 class for my own personal emotional healing, and being very much a sensitive, empathic, nurturer, caregiver personality, I was very much drawn along the path. And literally every class of Reiki that I took, I thought would be as far as I'd want to or need to go, because it was so profound for me. Things, gifts that I had suppressed for a long time started to reopen even in my Reiki 1 class. And for several years, I integrated Reiki with physical therapy and my physical therapy background and knowledge with my Reiki. So it's been a very gradual evolution, and I took several years actually to move through the classes and become a Reiki master teacher. I'm going to skip a lot of the little details, but basically in 2008, I was clearly intuitively guided that I need to move to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where I am now, which was about an hour and 15 minutes from where I live, but, bigger city, capital, state capital and such. After working through a lot of my internal resistance about making a move that logically I couldn't fathom, honestly, because I loved where I was. But once I kind of threw the oars in the water and surrendered, even though we were in a big housing crisis here, all the pieces fell into place. My house was the only one that sold. I found a place to live, and I initially went into someone else's practice here because no one talked about Reiki here in Harrisburg either in 2008. So I had a lot of work to do, establishing my own credibility and expertise, and educating and getting people on the table to feel the work, because that's how you really know Reiki. It meets you right where you are. So in about 4.5 years, I was again intuitively guided, in fact, kind of pushed and nudged by the universe, that it was time to create Harrisburg's first Reiki center, which I call Reiki by Rickie, Reiki Space and Learning Place. Stacey's been there. It's a beautiful, peaceful healing center. It has an energy all of its own. I now, in addition to, I have a full-time Reiki practice as well as teaching all the classes and Reiki and healthcare professional and Reiki for kids from 5 years old and up. I also manage 11 other Reiki space practitioners that have all received Reiki training with me, and of course, manage the space. But everything that I do and share here is in alignment with what we call the Reiki healing principles: love and service. There is no focus here on dollars, numbers, competition, or fear. It's not like traditional business. And that is, in my heart, the only way that a Reiki practice can continue all these years. We're 13 years plus now, and continuing to grow. I have also become a certified holistic wellness coach. I'm certified in Reiki sound, and I'm a certified Reiki voice instructor, which is really unusual, using the vibrations of the voice, humming, toning, chanting, singing, and such to accentuate the work and also to empower people's voices, not just with the techniques, but in their lives. And I love that has become part of that class. I'm a certified medical Reiki master, and on and on. So this is my life, and I'm 69. I'll put it right out there. And of course, many of my friends and coworkers are retiring, and I still feel like there is more coming. There is more coming. And it has
That's
to do with
amazing.
my voice. It has to do with my voice. I got a very clear message several years ago that said, "You are the voice of Reiki." And I didn't know
I love it.
exactly what that mean, but those pieces are starting to come together, and it is my next evolution. So thank you for letting me be here
No,
with
I love
you.
it. Thank you for sharing your journey. And, I guess using your voice is partly why you're here, right? I love it. I love it.
It absolutely is.
I
Yes.
love it. So I was like starting by asking you what you're feeling about the current energy. For me, I feel like we're shifting more and more. I feel like we're shifting from divine masculine to divine feminine. And I feel like individually we're all going through a shift. It's just like the planet is. And for me, the calling is to make sure that we work on ourselves, shine a light, be the bridge. But I'm curious, what are you feeling about this current shift? What are you seeing with your clients and the people you work with? Anything you want to share?
Sure. It is really intense right now. Yeah, did you hear that little in my
Sure.
voice,
Yeah,
right?
I heard.
Um, I tease with my women clients that it feels like PMS on steroids. People are just really intensely feeling the emotions, and things are coming to the surface because we need to. It's time. And you hit the nail on the head. It's about our own self work, especially for those of us who are sensitive and empathic, which a lot of people that are drawn to Reiki, whether they know it or not, they are, in order for them to, manage, function in the world, staying very heart-centered, but never giving away their personal energy and becoming drained and never taking on anyone else's or the world's stuff. The only way that you can do that is by learning how to manage your own energy. So this is a Rickie term. I call it Reiki is an EMS, an energy management system, and where we learn how to do the things to take care of ourselves, with breath work and meditation, with practicing every day to build and radiate our light, because light is always more powerful than anything less than light. Learning how to keep ourselves grounded because, many of us are very open and connected, and it's easy to float off into the ethers, but we have gifts that we need to bring and share with the world. And the only way we can do that in a consistent, persistent way is to have a grounding practice. And the other part of it is our own self-Reiki, which you learn right in the Reiki 1 class, and focusing on those Reiki healing principles of mindfulness, of peace, of faith and trust, of connection, the oneness, right? Knowing how we treat ourselves affects the good of the whole. And most of all, remembering to be grateful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I want to invite Stacey in at this point. Stacey, I'd love for you to talk about your journey with Reiki and with Rickie, and kind of how you felt going on that journey with Rickie, and go on a kind of share deeper than you do the intro in kind of what impact it's had on you. And then Rickie, on the flip side, I'd love for you to talk about your journey using Stacey as an example of what it's like to guide somebody into this space. So Stacey, over to you first.
Yeah. So, I had a neighbor who lived across the street from me. And one day I had a terrible headache and I couldn't get rid of it. And she said to me, "Do you want to get on my table? I do Reiki." And I had never heard of Reiki before. I had never had any experience with it before. So this was really new to me. But I had young kids at the time and the headache was bad and I was willing to try anything. So I got on her massage table and her Reiki table, and within minutes, I felt relief from my headache. And I felt this energetic connection and this surge through my body that I couldn't explain. And I recognized that there was something powerful happening there. And I had a mutual friend who I kind of mentioned this to, and she said, "I know somebody who teaches this." And I was like, "I need to know who this is." And she introduced me to Rickie. And I remember going into my first class. I mean, this has been years ago now. And the first class is focused on self-Reiki and how to nurture yourself and how to process that energy and what to do with it. And for me, it was fascinating because I'm naturally such an anxious person. And it was giving me a space to meditatively work with my own energy. And it felt so powerful. So it was something for me that came along at just the time that I needed it. I've talked about some of my other experiences with Reiki. As a Reiki practitioner now, I've had some really powerful exchanges with clients, but probably my most significant Reiki experience to date was with my son while he was in the hospital. And I walked into his room in the hospital and he was running a fever of 106, 107. And the doctors were chalking the fever up to his traumatic brain injury. And they were saying that his body didn't know how to regulate temperature. And as I walked into his room, I heard a voice say to me, "Get the oil." And I didn't know what that meant. And the only thing I had with me was my backpack. So I opened it up and I started looking through it. And I happened to have a card that somebody had sent us with some consecrated oil from the Saint Charbel, who was a healer in Lebanon in the 1800s. And so I took this little swatch of oil, this consecrated oil, and I placed it over my son's temples. And then I placed it near his tracheotomy. And then as I approached his chest, I started to do the Reiki symbols and place my hands on him. And immediately I knew what was wrong. I jumped. I was so startled at the message that was coming through, but I was told that my son had a massive infection in his chest, that he needed an IV antibiotic for 3 days, and it was something that started with a C. And I remember thinking, I have no medical background. Who is going to listen to me when I give this information? And so I ran out into the hallway, and my son's nurse was there. And I explained to her exactly the message that had come through to me. And she looked at me like I was crazy. And then she said, I'm going to call the doctor. And the doctor called me on the phone and she said, I understand you have some questions about your son. And I said, no, I don't have questions. I know what's wrong with my son and I need you to come take a look at him. And within 15 or 20 minutes, my son's hospital bed was surrounded by doctors and nurses, and they had taken chest x-rays, but they hadn't reviewed them yet. And it turned out that he had one lung was almost completely filled with fluid. The other one was filled with fluid, and he had a massive infection in his chest, and he needed an IV antibiotic that started with a C. I remember the doctor approaching me after that incident, and he said to me, you're really weird, right? And I was like, no, I was like, no, I do Reiki and I felt this sensation. And he was like, well, whatever you did just saved your son's life. And that for me was such a turning point because I had seen the power of Reiki in my own personal life. Like I had seen how it had transformed my anxiety. I had seen how it had helped my clients. But to have such an intimate experience with my son while he's laying dying on a hospital table is so significant. And it shifted everything for me. It made me take Reiki more seriously. It made me respect the practice even more. And it made me even more passionate about helping other people by using Reiki as a tool to help them on their healing journey. So that's a little bit of my experience. I've been sitting here thinking about our listeners before Rickie jumps in, and I really feel like we need to explain a little bit more about what Reiki is and what the benefits are. So, Rickie, I would be honored if you would just explain a little bit more to our listening audience so that they can understand exactly what we're talking about and the impact that it can have.
Awesome. Yes, that's really, really important because education still needs to happen, a lot of education. So for me, this is a two-part answer. The first part is about what most people think of Reiki, which are the Reiki sessions. And so connecting with someone and sharing with Reiki about in words can be challenging because it's so much of an experience and it's very much tuned into each individual person and what they need to hear and how much they need to hear in that moment. But I might say to someone who's new coming in for their first Reiki session that Reiki is a very gentle and very deeply relaxing hands-on healing, primarily for stress management, balance, and finding and learning your place of inner peace. It is based on the science that everything alive is energy. Down to our smallest cellular level, we vibrate. So what happens during your Reiki session is that your body, your system will draw whatever energy that you are in need of on whatever level that is, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And also you will release things that you've been holding on to that are no longer serving you for your highest good. It is in essence a balancing process. And when our systems are balanced, our bodies can help us heal naturally like we are all designed to do. This is the most natural work in the universe. This is the energy that we are all made of. We are all connected by, right? And we all can connect to and bring into our own beings. We just need to remember that, right? Here where I am in the West, we don't talk about energy. We talk about our physical bodies, but our energy is as real as our physical bodies and connected to our physical bodies through our hormonal system, which affects every physical area in our bodies. And our energy radiates. That's how we feel and sense each other, right? So everything hits our energy before it gets to our physical bodies. So if our energy is out of balance in a particular way for a length of time, our body starts to express in symptoms. So Reiki is so gentle and so natural. It can be shared, with women who are pregnant, with premature infants, with people even who have burns on their body, because Reiki can either be shared with gentle, light, stationary touch or balancing right off the body, right in your energy field. And a lot of people can feel that even when I'm not touching them. So you can work with elderly people, people in the dying process, as long as they say yes, right? Because we all have free will, right? It's not something we impose on anyone. Even if we're not quite sure about it or don't quite understand it, that's okay. This all works on a very deep subconscious level. We don't have to figure it out with our thinking minds. I look at Reiki sessions like a conversation. And it's a conversation between your deep inner wisdom, which knows exactly what you need, what you're ready for, and where it should go, and the highest frequency of energy that there is, whatever name that you choose to give that or not, right? So my job as a Reiki practitioner is to continue to do my own work as we've described, so that that conversation can flow through me. Right? The person on the table draws through me whatever energy that they need and releases, I say, to the light to be healed, whatever they don't need to continue to hold on to. So that is in essence a Reiki session. It's very holistic, head to toe. The energy knows where to go. I don't direct it or control it. I allow it. I share it. So I never say I do Reiki, because there is no I in Reiki. There's no ego in this work at all. Now, the other part of Reiki is that if you choose to move along this path, and I can tell you a little bit about the classes and such, you go from sharing Reiki to living and being Reiki. Being conscious of the energy of every word, thought, emotion, and attitude, and how that is affecting your own health, wellness, and well-being, and each other, and on out into the world. So you become a healing presence by doing your own work and being you, whether or not you choose to share Reiki sessions, right? It has to do with your energy that you radiate. So those to me are the two parts of Reiki that I like to educate people about. And like you said, Stacey, it has to start with us first, right? We have to fill ourselves up first. We have to keep ourselves in balance. We have to balance our hearts between all the sharing and giving that we do all the time, and opening our hearts to allow ourselves to receive, and most importantly, to know that we are worthy and deserving of receiving. Because when our hearts are in balance, then the rest of our energy can flow. If you're doing all the giving and not allowing yourself to receive and be filled up, you will be out of balance. And then you will have a tendency for the, energy to affect you. So,
Beautiful.
yeah, thank you.
So yeah, I'd love for you to move on to talking about, when you hear Stace talking about a story and kind of how, her learning Reiki guided her to save her son's life, kind of, what's it like? What was your journey with Stace like? But even at a deeper level, what does it feel like to know that you're guiding people to shift their lives? What does that feel like?
It's amazing. It's amazing every single day to be part of people's journeys. And everyone is unique. I mean, that's the beauty. This energy meets you exactly where you are. So, if I shared a session with you, Nim, and I shared a session with Stacey, they're going to feel different if you compare notes. And Stacey's first session to her second session will feel different because she's shifting and changing all the time. And each time someone comes for Reiki and they become more comfortable with the process, more comfortable and safe and trusting with their practitioner, they open up more. They allow themselves to be vulnerable, and the work goes deeper and deeper every time. So, this my work never gets boring because every session and every day is different, and hearing the stories, of how it has shifted and changed and literally saved people's lives is just amazing. And I'll jump in here and show you real quick my book because this is
I
called
saw that in the background. Yeah, I was more interested in the Reiki for kids
It's
too, but
one of two. I
yeah.
wrote the Reiki Kids Manual, which I can show you. This is called Radiating Our Reiki Light. This is so special in relationship to your question because what I did was collect people's stories from all over the United States and one from Canada, divided the stories into topics, which became the chapters. We have 17 different chapters, from experiencing Reiki, sharing Reiki, Reiki and grief, Reiki and fertility, Reiki and kids, Reiki and animals, on and on. So we get to hear their personal stories. They're, for the most part, not professional authors. They're sharing from their hearts. And then in the beginning of each chapter, I share my story and my teachings and my philosophies. So it's really unusual. There's a lot of books out there about what Reiki is and what it does and how it works. But this is to allow people to resonate with these personal stories. So I'll share two stories if that's is good. I'm not going to read them. I'll just tell you about them. So one is my one of my personal stories. So this is very intimate. Stacey, you know this about me. So I adopted two boys, 11 weeks apart. So I had a 4-day-old and an 11-week-old at the same time. And this was something I'd wanted children for many years, and it just wasn't able to happen. So Ryan was the first child, just 3 weeks older than his younger brother, and was diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia. And at 20, he made the choice to leave this space and seek peace. This is how I look at it. So, needless to say, that affected me very, very profoundly, very emotionally. I still feel it. And I remember the very first day that I went back to Reiki. I was still deeply in the grieving process, but I needed to get back to my work. And this was a small town. All my clients knew me. They come very regular. They knew what happened, so that I didn't really need to stifle my emotions. They understood. And I remember the very first time I stepped from the waiting room into the healing room, and the Reiki healing principles, which I had framed on my wall because I live by these principles, literally came right to my face and spoke to me. And they said, "Are these just words, or are you going to really choose to live by this now?" And so what they were asking me in that moment is, are you going to be a victim, which society would have condoned, having lost a child? Or are you going to do your work and step forward so that you can be a healing presence for others who are going through this situation? So right as that happened, my son also came to me and planted the seed and said, "You're going to be sharing a workshop called From Grief to Gratitude." Well, I was nowhere near ready to share that workshop at that time. I had to go through my own process. At 4 years past after Ryan's passing, I actually wrote the story, which was very, very healing, just getting all the details that I could remember out on paper, but I still wasn't ready to share it yet. And at 5 years, I shared my first Grief to Gratitude workshop to allow people a very healing, sacred, safe space to talk about what we don't talk about enough in our culture. So that's one of the stories. The other one is a young woman who came to me. I say young because she's younger than me. She's probably in her 40s, I would say. Very high power, dynamic real estate professional, beautiful woman, very put together, comes off as very, positive, high energy. She came to me because she had recurrent bladder tumors. And it was to the point where the doctor was going to have a tube put through the outside of her body so you could urinate through the tube. And she just did not want that. So that's how she found Reiki. And sometimes, you come as you need. So as I was sharing her first session, there's different areas in the body that hold on to different emotions. I call this body speak, right? And I was really feeling like she was holding on to a lot of anger. Now, usually I let the first 3 Reiki sessions kind of speak for themselves, and I will start to get into these deeper conversations later on. But this was a woman who was in immediate need. So I mentioned that, that I felt that she was holding on to some anger, and she totally denied it. So that's okay. I planted the seed. I know the Reiki will do what the Reiki needs to do, and I continue to share. So she came back to me the very next session and she said, I know what this is about. And she finally was able to acknowledge it, verbalize it, talk out loud about it. Now, I'm not a counselor, so I know where my limits are in that way. But she was getting to what was underlying what was going on in her urinary tract system. And it's just interesting. I mean, it sounds kind of funny, but people talk about anger getting pissed off. And what do we do through our urinary tract, right? We release that anger that we haven't been able to express in a healthy way with our words. When people have urinary tract infections and they will say it burns, right? What does anger do? Anger does the same thing. Anger burns. So she was able to get to the underlying mental, emotional source of what she experienced physically, and she has never had another recurrent tumor, never needed the surgery, and this is many years now. So
Beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful.
I can never decide or guarantee what happens with anybody's Reiki session, right? I just allow the energy, but it's wonderful when you can share these experiences and people really benefit.
Yeah, I mean, Akashic's the same. We never know what's going to come through, right? It's like, in many ways, we're a channel. Whatever meant to come through has come through. So, I'd love for you to share a little bit more and putting Stacey on the spot. What your journey with Stacey was like, what you felt when you connected with her energy, and anything you want to share, anything you remember that's in your heart.
Well, I mostly remember our connection more recently because Stacey started coming to me for some mentorship. I share a mentorship that I call Follow Your Heart and Do It Smart for people that want to move, what I say, from passion to profession, take the next step in their work. And we started to have some deeper conversations through that work where I really feel like, that I got to know you, Stacey, on a deeper level. And we also traded so that she got to experience a Reiki session because I don't know, had you had Reiki sessions with me before or just the classes?
I had a Reiki session with you before. Yeah. It was
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, many, many years ago.
Yeah.
So we did a trade more recently where I got to experience a reading, which was really awesome and right on point. And she got to experience the Reiki. And I would say mostly what I notice is a gradual letting go of the guarding, opening up to a little bit more softness so that Reiki that you share so beautifully can get a little deeper into your underlying mental emotional source. Does that make sense to you, Stacey?
Absolutely. It was so powerful for me. I really enjoy serving and, giving people the gift of Reiki. I love that. But there's so much beauty in being able to receive as well. And
And necessity.
yes, and it was a powerful experience. And it's interesting. I've had a couple of interactions trying to find somebody to do Reiki as an exchange, and I haven't yet had as powerful an experience as I've had with you. And it is challenging because I think there are a lot of people out there who do Reiki, but they've been trained in different ways and had different approaches, and it might not necessarily resonate. I think that's one thing that's really important to tell our listeners is you want to find somebody that you trust and that you can have a relationship with and that you feel safe being on their table with their hands on you. And I think that that's so important on your journey, is not just to practice Reiki for yourself, but to also receive Reiki from someone else. And so I encourage our listeners to find somebody that resonates with you and connect with that person.
Yes, and you're
Agree more.
right. It's a literal electromagnetic resonance, right? Because we are electromagnetic beings. So you feel a sense of attraction, let's say, right? And then you hit on the other two really important things are the safety and the trust. So yes, you learn self-Reiki in your Reiki 1 class, but you still need to be active in that process. And it's different when you allow yourself to open up, be vulnerable, and receive. And both are just as important parts of Reiki, as well as that focus on those Reiki healing principles as you move forwards. And we all, everyone that comes to me needs those reminders about their self-care, right? That's the first thing in any mentorship. Are you doing your self Reiki? Are you getting on someone's table at least once a month to allow yourself to receive? Because in order to be a clear sharer, these are the things that we need to do. And the more that we share, the more that we need to receive. I make sure I get on someone's table at least once a month, as well as other work that I receive. And I do my self-healing every day, and I share Reiki from a distance with Stacey. I'm happy to do that. I share Reiki from a distance every night. So that would be a way that we can connect without you having to make the journey all the way here. Because there is no time and space and energy realm. Just like when you share a prayer, it's there instantaneously. And then when you add the intention of love and healing in your heart.
Beautiful. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, healers need healing too, right? So, we're always there so being able to receive Reiki and, kind of any sort of healing is important. And also, I mean, for me, it is a soul contract. So if you're going to let somebody guide you or let somebody do Reiki on you, then it's deeper, right? It's a soul contract. You're giving them access to your energy, your vibration. Just like if somebody books in cash reading, right? They give me access to their soul. So it's important that you trust your intuition. Just because a Reiki teacher, a Reiki master may be right for somebody else, doesn't always mean they're assigned to you, and et cetera, et cetera. So trust your intuition. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I always say
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd rather go to a Reiki 1 because pieces of paper don't mean that much to me. The certificate's on the wall, right? It's, are you doing your own work? I'd rather see a heart-centered Reiki 1 healer who's doing their work every day than somebody who's talking the talk but not really walking the walk, because something is going to feel incongruous when your energy doesn't match your words. And it's really important, that integrity.
Yeah, and we love our human labels, right? I'm a Reiki master, I'm Reiki 1, Reiki 2. That, for me, they're just labels. Trust your intuition. Rickie, I'm a bit curious. So you've been using your hands to heal for many, many years, and all of a sudden you get a message that you're the voice of Reiki, so you got to use your voice more. How did that feel? Kind of like you were like, hold on, I've been using my hands, and now all of a sudden, you want me to use my voice? How did that feel? How did that come through?
Yeah. Well, I didn't fully understand it at first, right? As like, what does this mean, right? This was several years ago, actually, before I even opened Reiki Space, when I was in the other practice here in Harrisburg. And I know that part of it was that I am able to share about Reiki with my words, with my voice, to very grounded audiences, lunch and learns, professionals, right? I can help this be relatable to anyone, right? And that is not true of everyone. Even Reiki masters, they have a hard time putting this into words. So I knew that was a part of it. And as I think back, even, I said all this started in childhood. First of all, I have always been a singer, but not only that, I'm a hummer. I hum very naturally. I used to hum in elementary school and not realize that I did this. And interestingly enough, recently I have learned, and I don't buy into the numbers, but I'm just saying this so you can understand that I have what's called a very low IgG, which means very vulnerable immune system by the numbers. I am not an unwell person. You can probably tell this. And I know that it is not only the Reiki, but the vibrations of my voice stimulating my vagus nerve since I was a child, right? Every day of my life, I wake up singing and humming. It's just the way I do it, right? And so I literally know that my voice has saved my life. And, ironies fit together in the energy realm. Being able to use my voice has been my life core spiritual issue. Being able to speak my truth. And this all started back in childhood. My family of origin, I was not allowed to say no. And even when I said yes, I had to say, yes, mommy, yes, daddy. And I love my parents. I love my parents. They are both passed. But, all of this started way back when and through different relationships. So I have been working on being able to express my voice my whole life. So that is a part of it. And I became certified to teach a class called Reiki Voice. And as I am sharing that more and more, I'm realizing that it is empowering everyone, but especially women who have been not encouraged to share their truth through the course of history, and we still have some of that DNA. It is really helping people beyond the techniques that you can use to augment and amplify your Reiki. So I said, I hear you, universe. Because I know this whole journey, my only job is to say yes when I get that. And the more something makes me squirm in my seat, the more I know I need to say yes and just show trust and faith that the way will be shown. So I actually just a couple weeks ago, this is between just the three of us here,
Oh, no one else on that.
reserved the website called voiceofreiki.com.
Nice.
And I'm going to start, to put together different aspects of that, including I've been clearly guided that I need to share a very detailed version of my story, as it relates to the challenges that I've had using my voice through the years, so that people will resonate, with where I am now and where I've come from. And
Beautiful.
yeah, so I want to, I am trusting more and more that I am worthy to be on this bigger stage with the bigger audience, and that the people who resonate with not only my voice, but the energy that, radiates from
Yeah.
me will
The
be
vibration.
attracted to that, right? Even though my words may be slightly different than some other people's words,
Sure.
I always trust that
Yeah.
process.
It's a vibration, right? It's a vibration energy.
Always.
So as we kind of come into a close, Stacey, I want to know if anything you want to share before we let Rickie close, anything you want to ask. I just want to open the floor to you.
I just want to publicly say thank you, Rickie. I mean, you've had such an impact on me and on my life and on my story. And had I not come to you for Reiki, I wouldn't have had the experience of interacting with my son in the hospital the way I did. And I think what's really, really beautiful about energy work is when we take the time to educate others, we're spreading the message, right? We're spreading that energy out even further. And with every single student that you interact with, you're giving more people the opportunity to have exposure to Reiki. And so I'm just deeply grateful for you and for this connection and for the opportunity that I've had to get to know you, because you've been a really profound influence on my life.
Yeah. And yeah, it's very touching. Very, thank you for sharing that. And of course, if you and I hadn't reconnected, I wouldn't be on this radio show right now. So it's all perfect circle, and, these deep connections that are lifelong. And, they now call me Reiki Mama, because I've got all my my Reiki babies floating around. And now Reiki is a lot more present in this area, which is awesome because we need it. Somebody said to me, "So aren't you training your competition?" There is no competition. Everyone is resonantly attracted to exactly who they need to be with. And if it's not the right timing or not the right person or situation, they'll find their way to someone else. So it's all beautiful and perfect, and there's plenty of plenty of need to go around. We all need this work. And maybe it's not Reiki for everyone. I have a saying that I'm known for in Reiki space. It says the source is the source, of course, as long as people have a way in to that which is bigger and higher frequency and intelligent, it's all good. And we just bless people wherever they are on their journeys, and, hold the light of possibility for each other and for situations and for the world. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So Rickie, thank you for being on with us. Been a pleasure. And Stacey's been talking about you for years. I remember years ago she was trying to convince me to fly to the US to get Reiki trained by you. So that was even before you reconnected, she was been singing your praises. And but yeah, I just want to give you an opportunity. I mean, we'll share your links to all your stuff, your books and everything in the show notes. But anything that you want to share briefly within your heart with our audience before we close?
Well, I do have one event that I think would be really appropriate to share with your audience, if that's
Sure.
okay. It's
Sure.
called Reiki Around Our World. And so I connect with Franstina from the Netherlands and Marlene Duffy from Ireland. This will be, I think, our fourth time. And the topics of conversation will be Reiki in healthcare and effectively communicating Reiki. And so that is on my website, which I know you'll post the link to. It's coming up on June the 27th. We will have people that can attend live here in Reiki Space, but people can attend virtually from anywhere in the world. We'll share some meditation, some chanting, some connection and some healing, so that when we bring our energies all together with that intention, it becomes way more powerful. So I think that's a really appropriate. And
Yeah.
thank you so
I'm
much
sure
for
you
this
include,
opportunity.
just to share, this episode may be released after that, but I'm sure you have upcoming events
Oh, yeah.
after that,
Always,
sure.
always.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate you both so much. Rickie, you had a profound impact on me through Stace, right? I don't, me and Stace wouldn't be connected in the way we are without the work that she did with you. So I'm grateful to you.
Wow.
Obviously, Stace has been a big part of my world. So forever grateful. Sending you so much love and light, and asking our audience if anything resonated. Obviously great to visit Rickie in person, but Reiki can be its energy, right? You can connect in whatever form. Akashic record reading, you can be wherever, right? So and Reiki is the same. So something resonated with Rickie's voice. Please do reach out to her, connect. It's a beautiful time to collaborate, ask for help, allow yourself to receive. So please do if it resonates. If mine or Stacey's voice has resonated too, then please reach out. You can book a free discovery call. We share with you whatever we do. I know Rickie right now is transmitting Reiki, so if you listen to this, open your heart, receive, and maybe you can feel a shift. But sending so much love and light out to our audience, to everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. And like I said, if this episode resonated, please do comment, please do like, please do share. It really does get to more people. So sending love and light out to everybody, and bye for now. Thank you.